Michigan State at Maryland, this game on CBS. The Spartans won 3 straight and 5 of their last 7 coming in. Maryland on a bit of a streak of their own, going for their 5th straight win. The Terrapins come out firing. Early first half, the ball swung around the entire starting lineup. Daryl Morcell drains the open 3. Just over a minute later, good ball movement to find Akeem Hart for the contested tray in that one. And a minute later, Aaron Higgins gets open. He knocks down the 3 with a hand all up in his face. Maryland up 11, and they started the game on an 11-0 run and look to build off their lead. A.J. Hogard takes it up the floor, but stripped by Morcell, dishes the no-look pass to Eric Ayala. Maryland up 12, their largest lead of the first half. And Ayala, just in the first half, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Middle of the second half, Aaron Henry drives, dishes it to Joey Hauser for the corner 3. Michigan State down just 6, and the bench getting into it, but Maryland responds. Dante Scott takes it inside, feeds Hart for that deep 3. Terps back up 12, and next Maryland possession, Hart feeds Scott in the corner. Another one for 3. 2 minutes later, Scott threads the needle to Ayala for the easy layup. Ayala had a game-high 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Later, off the Spartans miss, Ayala feeds Wiggins for the 360 slam in transition. Yes, young man. Just makes it look so easy when they do that, don't they? Maryland wins 73-55. They beat Michigan State at home for the first time since 2017. Maryland finishing the game on a 24-11 run, leading to the strong victory. Maryland covers the spread, and our Matt Norlander, he told you to take Maryland earlier on HQ. The under 134, that also hits. Now taking a look at the tournament resumes between Michigan State and Maryland, projected seed 11 and 9th respectively, but if Michigan State were to miss the tournament, it would be their first time since 1997. Well, here with us now, the host of the Eye on College Basketball podcast, Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish. We did a lot of math in the halftime show. 11-point lead for Maryland to start, really being the difference here in this one, 73-55, the final. Gary, what was your biggest takeaway from this game as a whole?
Well, Michigan State dug a big hole for itself, as you noted, but they were close to digging out of it. They made a run in the second half, got it to a manageable number, and you thought, okay, now here we go, we'll have a basketball game. And yet Maryland just never really allowed that to happen. And give the Terrapins credit. This is a team that started 6-6 this season, and Maryland fans were starting to chirp the way Maryland fans so often chirp. But now Mark Turgeon, of course, has got this thing turned around and headed to the NCAA tournament, looking like pretty safely. They were a projected 9 seed, according to Jerry Palm this morning. Adding a victory like this obviously helps, and for Michigan State, you're just putting yourself in a tough spot. I know it had been a nice little run for the Spartans, 3 straight quadrant 1 wins in a 6-day span, but the truth is they had to do all that just to get on the right side of the bubble. I'm not certain this knocks them out, but what I do know is they can't lose more games than they win in their past 4. And 2 of their next 3 are against the Michigan Wolverines. It doesn't mean that they can't split those or even win them both. Who knows? But obviously, if you were trying to pinpoint games that were winnable on Michigan State's remaining schedule heading into today, this is probably one that you wanted to get.
Yeah, those 2 Michigan games, listen, we're going to talk about this on the Eye on College Basketball podcast, Sunday night edition, at least touch on it at least, because Michigan State now, it needed this kind of win to give it a little more slack. Now it faces an Indiana team that has been backed into a corner. Who knows, right? And then you got to try and split against Michigan to help your chances there. If not, you're basically going to have to make a good run in the Big Ten tournament. Credit to Maryland. I don't know if this makes the Terps a lock, because it still has a minimum of 3 games to go. It feels maybe as close to a lock as possible without being one, but if it's not a lock, it probably should be. This was a big win, gets a high-level win, and does it in convincing fashion. Eric Ayala, just such a fun player to watch, and he carries that team more than any other. And for Terrapins fans, kind of big picture here, it's got to feel pretty good because they were probably uncertain about where this team was going to go this season. Remember, a season ago, I was in the building with this exact game. It was the last game I traveled to last season, Michigan State at Maryland, and that was a Maryland team that had its sights on second weekend or beyond. Then there is no tournament. Maryland had been aching to get back to the NCAA tournament and have a season of relevance, and that was taken away from them. And so they've done a good job here, kind of cobbling together a solid resume, and clearly are on their way to playing in the NCAA tournament. Terps fans got to be a bit overjoyed at the moment.
Looking ahead for the Michigan State side on their schedule, Indiana on March 2nd, then back-to-back number 3 Michigan. We talked about it. They are hard to beat. There could be a chance that Michigan State could miss the tournament. As you see here on this graphic, they have the 4th longest active streak in the tournament. It'd be the first time they would miss it since 1997. Matt, what could that mean for this program to not make it to the big dance?
I think it's entirely reasonable to not have any big picture impact. At least I would hope. You know, almost every team, unless you're Kansas, which is going to make it again, that run is just, it's obscene, frankly. There is an off year. We're in a pandemic. Michigan State's not the only traditional top 10 brand program that's having a down year. So it will be understandable if that happens. If anything, weirdly, you know, if you want to ask, like, what does not making the tournament mean? A big picture, like Amani Bates, who is considered maybe the best high school prospect or the prospect with the highest ceiling in a decade plus. I mean, he has verbally committed to Michigan State, and will he reclassify? Like, if he did, would he play for him next season? Might this program just be a quick dip, and then it has, you know, clearly a guy who could be the face of college basketball? That's the big picture I'm wondering about. Is like, if they don't get there, does it have any sort of impact on what Amani Bates and his family does or doesn't want to do with playing college basketball? I got to figure that staff has been in frequent contact with the Bates and reminding him, we absolutely need you. Like, please, you know, stay here. We need you can redefine Michigan State basketball as we know it. So if you're looking for big picture, Sherry, that's kind of where my mind's at right now.
Yeah, Michigan is fortunate to the extent that you could be fortunate under these circumstances that, you know, Kentucky is almost certainly not going to make the NCAA tournament. Duke might not make the NCAA tournament. North Carolina might not make the NCAA tournament. Indiana might not make the NCAA tournament. I mean, some of the biggest brands in the sport probably just aren't going to be in the field of 68. So I think, you know, rather than be the sole subject of the conversation, Michigan State's merely a part of the conversation. Misery loves company, so on and so forth. But, you know, if you're Tom Izzo, like, that's a streak that's attached to you. You know, you've been 22 straight times. It's not just Michigan State's been, it's you. You've done this. And honestly, he's clearly the biggest reason it's been able to happen. It's why he's already in the Naismith Memorial Hall of Fame. So anytime you've got things like that, you know, on your Wikipedia page, you don't want to blow them up, pandemic or not. But if the good news for the Spartans is, you know, they've still got a chance to get there. You know, not to use a cliche like control their own destiny, but like if they win the games that are in front of them, they will be in the NCAA tournament. They don't have to win all of them. They just have to win some of them. But they have put themselves in a tough spot for a variety of reasons. And going down 11-0 after you just got on the right side of the bubble a few days ago has got to be really discouraging, disappointing, frustrating for Tom Izzo, because your team was playing so well and then they just did not come out and play today.
That's going to be the beauty of March, just to see how all the dominoes and all the pieces fall and come together. Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish, we thank you so much for your insight. Get more from Gary and Matt in the Eye on College Basketball podcast. We are so close to March, counting down the hours, in fact, and you need all your storylines as we get ready for tournament season. So Matt and Gary have all you need on the Eye on College Basketball podcast. Make sure you download and subscribe today.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.